Working on installing a Medea inverter air conditioner, portable, in our camper van conversion. So I've got it where I want it to use the otherwise unused passenger seat space when we're off the road. You can see the dual vent hose on the Medea's going to come out nicely there. On the side, I'll be making a piece to go in with the window down. So here I've got the window down so that I've got access to the top of the glass all the way across. And I've got a pretty good amount of straight edge here and here, so I can figure out where the parallel rails are that the glass moves up and down in which the glass moves up and down, pardon my grammar. I put a fold in my cardboard with my screen installation tool. I've got that fitting nice and tight there against the rail, but I need that extra bit for later. And so now I'm going to tape that up. Here's an inside shot with the cardboard taped up to the window. Where my fold is up here, I've got a gap. That's okay because the fold gives me plenty of extra material to deal with that later. Here's that fold tucking in from the outside. The whole purpose of that fold, I need the extra material later to actually go up into the weather stripping just like the glass does. But my first outline here that I'm going to make is going to be on the inside. And I'm going to go on the glass. Okay, so 5 minutes. Sorry, new to this camera thing. So I'm just going to trace this along with my pencil here. Got my glass traced, and then I'm going to also trace the rail here. I'm going to do this with the camera off so I can put my other hand, my free hand on the outside, hold the cardboard tighter and get a cleaner line. But I'll do that. The front's not going to work because of the fold, but I'll get my line from the back here. So here's my curved line. That's the top edge of the glass. Here's the weather strip mark I made. I extended it out, and then I used my dial caliper here. It's overkill on precision, but it's just really handy because it fits right in there. And I can easily measure how far the glass is going into the weather stripping. It's a little more than a 1/2 inch, so I put in a 1/2 inch line out and I marked them. There's the weather strip, there's for the glass. Then I measured across with my tape, measured inside the weather strip from here over to here. That was 34 inches, another 1/2 inch deep weather strip there. So what I did is I used my framing square here, made a perpendicular line to the window rail, shot that all the way across, measured across it with the tape measure, and then 34 from weather strip to weather strip, 35 from the outside edge of the glass to the glass, and then the framing square again, perpendicular to that line, and that gives me a line that's parallel with the line over here. That should represent the rails, the weather strip rails that the glass slides up and down in. So that's that goal there. So the last thing I need is the height from the glass up to the top of the frame. Basically, what's the travel of the window on the rails? Another way to look at this. I've pretty much got the glass right inside the weather strip here. I'm going to measure up here to the 19 3/4 mark. And this time I'm not going to add to go up in the weather stripping. I'll use the window to bump it up that 1/4 of an inch, and that'll let me install it and get it in and out. So 19 3/4 is what I want. The way I do that is I've set my framing square here along my line that's perpendicular to my rails. Set my other framing square on the line that marks the top of the glass. This is to sit on top of the glass. So I'm going to come up from there up to 19 3/4. And I'm going to put a mark. And I'm going to then slide all this over and keep putting marks every 3 or 4 inches. And then I can fill in between them. And I've got the top piece that goes up into the window frame. That's an option because I had it. I put a 3rd straight edge in so I can hold the 2-foot level, slide the old square along it, hold that down, and I adjust the blue until I'm on my mark here, and I make my mark at the other end. The 3rd straight edge just saves a little time. Here's our piece all cut out. I've added some 1/2-inch lines, parallel. Yeah, that should be where the weather stripping comes. That'll just help me see how it's going on install. To get it installed, I need a little length adjustment, so I'm putting an accordion fold in. I'm scoring on a straight edge with my screen installer. I've scored here. I'll hold this down and I'll pop this up to give that a nice crease. I wasn't completely happy with my fit at the top of the template to the weather stripping, so I've lined up. Sorry about my strobing LED. I've lined up my my 1/2-inch weather strip line here on the back side. Given myself a little bit to trim on the top. I've clamped it on where I like it. I marked it with a pencil, trying to get a closer line to the glass. I've also taken a 1/4 inch off the front edge, just trying to trim it down to where it fits nicely and it's easy to install. So we're gonna take this off after we pencil mark it, and we're gonna make a new top cut. Hopefully that's gonna go better into the weather stripping when it's installed. So trimming it to not quite the full width of the glass and a little short so that the window actually comes up and pushes it up into the top up here. That's working really well. I'm gonna try trimming out these edges. I know now that the last cut to make is the clamp and get this cut right. So I would just do that as a rough in the future and plan on doing that finish cut where you can trace on the glass really well with it clamped. That worked extremely well. Little tweak here is I measured and realized that on the weather stripping at the front, I really don't need more than 10 inches on the rail there. And it's a little hard to get it in, so I measured down that 10 inches and put a notch in it. Well, here we are with a little bit of cheap duct tape on it. I get my corrugated plastic one made, probably put some Gorilla tape on. I've even read that it's a good idea to corona treat that type of plastic, like with just a propane torch, to get stuff to stick to it. So the edge trim on this is just for experimentation, see how it fits into the weather stripping. I didn't go across the bottom so it can drain because my flutes ended up being pretty vertical. And I did leave a little flap here. This is where the window glass is sticking up. I've ordered some shower door trim that'll do the same thing, but if it works well to just do it with tape, maybe that's the solution. Went in really nice with the tape on the edge. Every once in a while this trim wants to roll. I might be a little more careful how I tape, but if you just got your pen knife with you, I don't, so I'm using my box cutter. You can really pretty easily get that trim to pop. You just want to make sure you're working that in, that you're not cutting your window trim. But I'm not a very good camera person. Anyway, yeah, so just running an edge just gets that trim right out where you want it. I'm gonna roll the window up and see for just a little bit and see how that works. So the window's up tight. My little flap at the glass here is sweet. Of course, it needed to extend a little bit. I was just experimenting there, so I didn't measure. But that should go down and tuck in. You might be a little concerned about water getting in. Here's the deal. Car windows like this are not waterproof. Water gets into your doors all the time. You're only in trouble if the drain holes at the bottom plug up and your door fills up with water. If your door feels heavy, if you hear sloshing, check your drain holes. But the fact that this is going to let a little bit of water in is really no problem because the window itself does the same. This is looking good. I have a lot of faith in cardboard. I go boat racing in it. This could probably go down the highway just like it is. I'm not going to test it, but I think it could. Here we are outside.